Hey everybody, Blind Man Travels here. Today I am going to be reacting to the first part of Rick Steves' travel skills specials. I learned a lot of what I know about traveling from Rick Steves from the guidebooks and from the television series. For those of you not in the United States who do not know about him, he is a travel writer and television host that specializes in travel in Europe, but I do believe that a lot of the travel skills can be applied anywhere else. So without further ado, let's dive right on in.
Hi, I'm Rick Steves, back in Europe, this time with a focus on practical travel tips. In this three-part special edition, we travel my favorite 2,000-mile loop through Europe, splicing in all the essential skills to help you travel on your own, smooth and smart.
Okay, so there you go. That's what this television show is all about there. First, they start with a map of Europe, getting you to think about travel. And this is footage from a lot of his television series, plus pictures. Showing locations where he's documented, of course. Again, getting you to think about traveling for yourself.
The point of this special is you can learn from my 30 years of experience and have a better trip. How well you're able to enjoy the delights of Europe is a matter of how well you plan and how skillfully you travel.
And this is actually an old one. I don't think he's updated it recently, but a lot of the stuff still applies. There might just be some fine tuning that needs to be done for the modern era, but a lot of the basics still apply for travel skills.
And there's a lot to enjoy. From
That's Rome.
The monuments of Rome to a Turkish bath in Istanbul. From the markets of
That looks like that might be a good catch.
Naples to new friends in Spain. And from the scalps of the Alps.
It looks like that might be somewhere in Colorado, actually, too.
To the running of the bulls in Pamplona.
I don't think I want to run with the bulls in Pamplona. I believe in obviously being independent, but I don't think I would ever have an interest to run with the bulls in Pamplona.
Want to get the most out of every mile, minute, and dollar you spend in Europe. In this three-part travel skills special, we start in the Netherlands, venture through Germany, dip into Italy, sweep through Switzerland and France, before finishing in England.
So that's a nice loop in Europe there.
In this first episode, we start in Amsterdam, cruise the Rhine, visit Rothenburg, and finish in Munich. Our main tips in this show: settling in upon arrival and transportation, exploring Europe by car and by train.
Obviously, I can't speak to the car stuff, but I can speak to the train stuff and everything else that's associated with traveling.
We landed at Amsterdam's Schiphol Airport. To get to Europe, Americans need only a passport, plane ticket, and money. Airports are well-designed and user-friendly.
How it's English there.
Notice how easy it is for English speakers to step right over that language barrier. Here in Amsterdam, like most of Europe, everything's in two languages: Dutch for locals and English for everyone else. And there's an information desk ready and waiting. Hello, do you speak English?
Of course I do, because the Netherlands is a tiny little country with not much of a population base, so everybody just about speaks English in the Netherlands.
Do you have a map, please, to go to Amsterdam? I'd like to take the train to the center.
Okay, best place to go is...
But even in the Netherlands, where everyone seems to speak
Today, I would probably consult with Google Maps more.
English, it's polite to learn and use a few key local words. Dank u wel. Bye-bye. To get your cash, ATMs are the way to go. They provide local currency at the best rates, quick, easy, and in English.
That part still applies now. There probably are more businesses that accept credit cards now or PIN debit transactions. However, not all the businesses, especially some of the mom and pop businesses, are going to be equipped for that. So be ready with some cash on hand.
But each ATM transaction comes with a fee. Minimize these fees by comparing card policies before you leave home and by taking fewer and bigger withdrawals in Europe.
That still applies. The other wrinkle that's happening now with ATMs is it'll ask you after you start the transaction process if you wanted to convert the transaction into dollars for you or run it for you in the local currency. And I would always say run it in the local currency instead of having the currency conversion by the machine, because that'll be an extra fee for that too. So always make sure you do it in the local currency and let your bank bill you for the charge.
Europe. It's just like withdrawing cash at home. You just need your 4-digit PIN. But before you leave, let your bank know you'll be overseas, so there's no hang-up in using your card over here.
A lot of the banks do have, you can set your cards up with, or the credit card companies to have it set that you can notify them of your travel dates. Sometimes I'll put it a day in advance of when I expect to be there, just to make sure there's no hangups with transactions.
My hotel's in the city center. Getting downtown from European airports on public transportation is easy. You've got options. If you're packing heavy, really tired, or with a small group, a taxi can be the best value. When I'm on my own and packing light, public transit, trains and buses can be the best choice, and it's far cheaper.
Definitely cheaper than a taxi, although a taxi is probably better if you have a bunch of people, like you said.
Buses are clearly marked. These days, you'll buy tickets and lots of other things using machines. There's always a button for English. Get comfortable using your credit card and following the prompts. Okay, I've got my train ticket to the center.
I think there's a card in Amsterdam that you can get now where you could just tap in and tap out, just like the Suica card in Japan.
Most European airports have excellent train connections into town. From Schiphol, there's a train into Amsterdam every couple of minutes, and we're downtown in a snap. I find Europe's big iron and glass stations evocative and impressively user-friendly. Most are designed to help visitors get oriented quickly and are in or near the town center.
That is a good strategy, is to take the train into the center because you'll be right there close to the center of the city in the core where all the action is going to be.
Tourist information offices are usually in the station or just out the front door.
So one thing about tourist information offices, and a lot of them are run by private companies now, where they'll pose as tourist information offices, and they're trying to sell you overcharged things that don't really help you enjoy your travel experiences. So just be kind of wary of that a little bit. It's still a good place to go in, but just be wary of the information that they're giving you and do your own research.
As is typical in Europe, many of Amsterdam's buses and trams fan out from the train station. Public transit is so convenient, many Europeans never get around to owning
Yep, that's a tram.
a car. The tram drops us just a couple bridges from our hotel. My hotel is near the downtown action, but peacefully situated overlooking a canal, with bikes parked out front and plenty of character.
A lot of hotels do not allow check-in, by the way, before a certain time of day. So if you land super early, just something to be aware of. Now you can obviously take your bags there and have them store your bags if you can do that. They might not let you check in until about 3 p.m.
I pay extra for the convenience of a central location. I'm Rick Steves. I have a reservation. After checking in, I've got my key and I'm set.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Enjoy your stay.
Okay, now that we're settled in, our next challenge, overcoming jet lag. Don't take a nap. Jet lag hates bright light, fresh air, and exercise. Get out and walk. I kick off my trips with a Welcome to Europe stroll.
That part is still very applicable. You want to stay up till a reasonable local bedtime, like 3 or like 8 p.m. Excuse me. So it's always a good idea to stay as active as you can.
Having changed money, we're ready to dive into the city. While credit cards are widely accepted, I find things just go better with hard cash. And many merchants prefer cash. The euro is the currency used throughout most of the continent. Over 300 million Europeans have the same coins jangling in their pockets.
That part makes it a little easier when you cross between borders within the eurozone.
Every corner of Europe comes with a unique flavor and cultural surprises. Small as beautiful Holland feels quintessentially Dutch. It's charming with characteristic gables, delightful bridges, floating parties, and bikes everywhere. It's clever. Check out the 3-story bicycle garage. And it's occasionally shocking. Prepare for some differences. Curbside urinals.
Those are still there in Amsterdam, by the way.
Prostitutes who work like small business people.
Yep, that's true too.
Unionized, taxed, and regulated. And coffee shops that sell marijuana.
That's not too big of a deal in certain parts of the United States anymore either.
I've enjoyed how, especially when I venture out of my comfort zone, travel has changed my outlook. When other societies tackle problems we struggle with differently than we do, I try to understand their reasoning. For decades now, the Dutch have found that the most pragmatic approach to marijuana use is to take the crime out of the equation and regulate it.
Something that the United States has been kind of inching towards too.
With an open mind and a wide-eyed curiosity in your travels, you'll have more fun. And you'll take home my favorite souvenir, a broader perspective.
And yet, just travel with an open mind. Don't be set in your ways that one way is right and one way is wrong. Because we can all learn from each other.
Heading off on our swing through the best of Europe. Our first stop will be the Rhine, and we'll be riding the rails. We're leaving from Amsterdam's Central Station. Be aware, many cities have more than one station. Paris and London must have 5 or 6 each. We're leaving.
That's true.
From Amsterdam Central, as opposed to Amsterdam Sloterdijk. Stations and tickets are clearly marked, so if you know to look, it's no big deal. Trains work the same all over Europe. Ticket windows handle your ticket and reservation needs. Be sure, when necessary, that your ticket or your rail pass is validated before boarding. Ask for advice at the Quick Question info booth or from uniformed conductors on the tracks. Many express trains require an advance reservation. It's smart to ask. I have no reservation, no problem?
There's no problem.
Good. Every station has departure boards listing all the trains leaving from that station on a particular
S-Bahn, that's the German. Bahn is the German word for train, by the way.
day. The big, constantly changing, trains departing imminently board displays precisely what's happening in the next hour or so. Whatever the language, you'll always find the same columns: departure time, stops en route, destination, which track, and if it's late. For instance, the 1420 train heading through Heidelberg to Klagenfurt is leaving from track 12, and it's 5 minutes late.
This is where you want to get good at the numbers, because not everything's going to necessarily show in English. But if you know what numbers you're looking for, that does help.
Train composition charts on the platform show the order of cars starting with the engine.
Japan had this as well.
See first class, the dining car, and second class. With this chart, you'll also know where to wait on the platform so that when the train stops, you're already positioned to step right onto your car.
That's actually the German train. It's called the ICE. Stands for Intercity Express. It's a German high-speed train inspired by the Japanese Shinkansen.
Be aware, some trains pick up and drop cars as they go. Individual cars are marked, where they're going, first or second class. Icons indicate this is a quiet car, and smoking is never allowed. Once inside, little signs above each seat make it clear which seats are reserved and for which stretch of the route they're occupied. Once you're settled, you'll spend a lot of time en route. Do what you can on the train to save up time off the train. Read. Listen to audio files relating to your travels. Write your journal or emails. Eat. And sleep.
A lot of that same stuff still applies, obviously. You could definitely do all those things with modern technology on the trains right now, but that's usually a lot of dead time. If you're sitting there for a few hours, find something to do to keep your mind occupied and enjoy looking out the window.
Tablets are great for readers packing light. Meet people, strike up conversations. Information boards announce the upcoming stop and details about.
That's very handy. You see that in a lot of country train systems. I saw that in Japan too.
The ride. While cars come with a bag storage area, for peace of mind, I like to keep my bag in the rack just above my seat.
Just another reason to pack light.
You'll pay 50% extra per kilometer to travel first class. First class is cushier, generally 3 seats across, less crowded, and occupied by people who figured it was worth paying the 50% extra for the added privacy and comfort. Second class comes with 4 seats across and more people. Today's trains are so comfortable in Europe that the new second class feels as slick as the old first class. Trains generally have a mix of open seating and more private compartments.
I remember seeing that when I went on the train in Germany.
Nearly every train has both first and second class cars, each going precisely the same speed. If you're on a budget, second class is just fine. But we're traveling with rail passes. They come in first class, forced luxury.
No more windmills. I think we're in Germany now, but in today's Europe, it's hard to know when you've crossed a border.
Today's goal: visit a great German city, cruise the most scenic hour of the Rhine River, and check into a hotel in my favorite medieval Rhine village. A full itinerary like this is perfectly doable if you use schedules smartly.
You can get a lot of those schedules from apps now too.
Consider stopover.
So you don't have to worry about not being able to read the paper. You can actually use the apps, or you can download it as a PDF and zoom in on your phone or your tablet.
Along your route. While we're heading for the villages of the Rhine Gorge, our fast train stops in Cologne, and it's worth popping out for a quick look. Checking the departure schedule, I see there's a train every hour. We'll catch the 1453 to Koblenz.
Remember, schedules in Europe use the 24-hour clock. Anything over 12, subtract 12 and add PM.
Yep, that's where I learned how to do that. I was never in the military, obviously. But yeah, anything over 12, just subtract the 12, and you'll know what time it is.
1453, 14 minus 12, that would be 2:53 PM. That gives us about an hour for some fun in Cologne. Let's go.
When stopping to sightsee between hotels, I lock up my bag at the train station. Many
It's a good strategy, too.
stations have the standard, safe, coin-operated lockers. Some are getting pretty high-tech. Here's another example of automation. With a few coins and following the prompts, our bag gets taken away and safely stored who knows where. Literally just out the door of the station towers the majestic Cologne Cathedral.
It's a good way to intersplice a little bit of history without having to go very far.
It's an awe-inspiring 500 feet high. Just steps away, an old Roman gate still stands, reminding the modern city of its ancient heritage. And its main street, Now a thriving pedestrian mall gives a sense of the dynamism of Germany today. Back at the station, I check in with the trains departing imminently board. There's our
That's a good way to check, but if you can't see it, I always find that a lot of the rail services have apps now again where you can actually look at times, and there will be updates in the apps now too.
train, 1453, to Koblenz, track 7,
Of course, you can always ask for assistance if you can't figure that out.
and on time. After a short ride to Koblenz, we change to our last train, the milk run to our Rhine village, St. Goar. Europe's express trains, like the ones we caught this morning, make the big city leaps quickly. The little local trains, like this one, take it from there. We've reached Germany's castle country. The hulks of ruined castles, standing high above spindly towns, fill the romantic Rhine gorge with legends and history. The old town of St. Goar sits under the river's mightiest castle, Rheinfels. The castle
There's a lot of history there.
overlooks the town with a commanding view of the Rhine and all its traffic. St. Goar is the departure point for our Rhine cruise. Today, we're cruising just my favorite hour of the Rhine, which is from here to the town of Bacharach. The Rhine's always
Bacharach is named for the Roman deity. I forget which one it is exactly, but the Roman deity of partying and having a good time, because it's usually a satyr with grapes from which wine is made. So that makes sense.
been busy with trade. Back when roads were too dangerous, merchants shipped their goods to market up and down rivers. Robber baron castles like these were built to levy tolls. Good guidebooks help make the sites meaningful for the whole family. Researching and writing guidebooks is my main work, and to me, guidebooks are $20 tools for $3,000 experiences. I've found that if you equip yourself with good information, whether in print or digital, and expect yourself to travel smart, you will. Guidebooks also recommend memorable places to spend the night, like Bacharach, and good places to eat, drink, and stay, like hotels.
Guidebooks are good, but you always want to make sure your guidebook is updated as much as possible, preferably one that was updated within the year. You can obviously go look online, but a lot of the information can be skewed based upon how someone felt at the location and may not be objective. So it's a good idea to look at that, but obviously look at everything with a grain of salt.
Hotel Kranenturm, which I booked by email a month ago. This hotel was the Kranenturm. That means crane tower.
About 500 years ago, riverboats loaded down with kegs of wine couldn't get past the rapids out here. So, with the help of cranes on this tower, they unloaded their kegs, carried them around, and continued their journey.
And in the sleepy villages along the river, you'll find Rhine wine is still the lifeblood of these communities. Wherever grapes are grown, vintners like Frau Bastian are eager to share the fruits of their labor. Her teaching aid, a wheel of 15 family wines. And we're in for a tasty
Hope those wine glasses are not,
education.
This is a Riesling.
It is.
And all of these 15 wines are from this valley.
They are all from the valley, within walking distance.
Using Frau Bastian's wheel is a convivial way to share opinions and gain knowledge.
they're probably traveling together, so that doesn't count as communal for them.
Yeah, Habtrocken. You know, after years of tasting wine in Germany, the basic thing to learn, I found, is the 3 key words. Trocken is dry, Habtrocken is half dry, and Süß, that's sweet. This is Habtrocken. There's so much more to learn. You can travel forever, and it never gets old.
Perfect.
All right, cheers.
And all over Europe, wine tasting is a fun way to meet fellow travelers and make friends. One of the most important travel skills.
Yeah, definitely be social.
We're leaving the Rhineland for Bavaria. Europe's laced together by an efficient train system hard for most Americans to imagine. And with our Eurail pass, we've got free run of it.
European rail passes come in many versions. While these are pretty expensive, for certain itineraries they can be a great value. Passes give you unlimited train travel from anywhere from one country to most of Europe.
Rail passes, I think they've changed some since then, so always check your information just to be sure. But rail passes are usually a good option if you think you're going to be doing enough traveling on the train to make that price worthwhile.
To cover this 3-week, 2,000-mile trip economically, we chose a train pass covering just the countries we're visiting. It gives us 10 rail travel days to be used within a 2-month window. Our destination today, Rothenburg, is pretty remote, so getting there requires 2 train changes. Again, if you're uncertain, ask for help. Conductors are happy to assist confused tourists. In Germany, connections are synchronized. Changing trains is often just a matter of checking the schedule, switching platforms, and hopping into an awaiting
And Germany is just about as efficient as Japan when it comes to things like that.
car. Rothenburg is Germany's medieval wonder town. Even with tourist crowds turning it into a half-timbered theme park in the summer, I love this place. While it can be packed with tour groups during the day, in the evening, they're back in the big city and the town's all yours. Those who spend the night enjoy the medieval magic of this otherwise touristy place in relative peace. To stretch your sightseeing day and mix in some information at the same time, catch an evening tour.
Who was on the very bottom of the social scale?
Gravedigger.
No, Gravedigger was the second lowest. The lowest was the executioner. The hangman was on the very bottom of the social scale. And the
This guy's doing a period piece performance, basically.
Gravedigger was the second lowest. And they like to work together, these two.
Like a little humor there.
They had the same clients.
Rothenburg's Night Watchman tour goes each evening at 8 o'clock, and all's well. Germany's romantic road, the next leg of our journey, can't be done by train. It's best explored by rental car. We'll
This is something I have no experience with, obviously.
have this car for 2 days and drop it in Munich.
You can arrange your car rental before leaving home. Prices vary dramatically from month to month, country to country, and from company to company, so shop around. Even if you don't plan on driving, bring your license. Your American license generally works just fine. It's fun and it's easy to rent a car on a whim.
And with your own wheels, you can get to more remote places like the monastery at Ondex. Because it's easily accessible only by car, it has fewer tourists and more locals. The stately church stands as it has for centuries. Its Baroque interior both stirs the soul and stokes the appetite. The monks here nurture a heritage of brewing a heavenly beer, and it's served by the leader. The hearty meals also come in medieval proportions. Like many beer halls, the food's perfectly Bavarian.
That looks good.
When I'm far from home, I become a cultural chameleon. In England, I
Actually, I agree with that too. When I'm away, when I'm traveling, I try and eat and drink like someone who lives there.
fancy a spot of tea. Here in Germany, it's got to be sauerkraut, big pretzels, beautiful radishes, knuckle of pork, and a great big beer. By the way, don't drink and drive. I'm done
You'll never have to worry about me drinking and driving.
driving for the day. Permissible alcohol levels are extremely low throughout Europe, and penalties are severe.
There's nothing exotic about driving in Europe. While the British drive on the left, Everyone on the continent drives on the same side as we do in the USA. Filling the tank here, whether diesel or gas, is like filling the tank back home, except it's euros and liters rather than dollars and gallons. Figure 4 liters per gallon. Don't overreact to Europe's high cost of gas. Over here, cars get great mileage and distances are short.
Rental cars come with a basic insurance policy, but the deductible can be really high. You can pay extra for zero deductible for your peace of mind. But first, check with your insurance company at home to see how well you're already covered in Europe.
I have no experience about this, so nothing to say about that.
When driving to cover long distances in a hurry, use the freeway. This is Germany's Autobahn. Like most of Europe, Germany's laced with these super freeways. And around here, fast driving is considered a civil liberty. On the Autobahn, you'll learn quickly. The fast lane is used only for passing. Cruise in the left lane, and you'll have a Mercedes up your tailpipe.
Here and throughout Northern Europe, the Autobahn is toll-free. In France and countries south of Germany, these super freeways usually come with tolls.
It's a good point to be aware of.
Learn some navigation basics. In Germany, Zentrum means center. A giant letter P means parking. And this icon means Autobahn.
The signage is different between the United States and most of the rest of the world, by the way.
Color coding and arrows point you in the right direction. And while many travelers go through their entire trips thinking all roads lead to the town of Ausfahrt, Ausfahrt is German for exit. This sign means traffic circle or roundabout. Merge safely into the circle and take the exit for the direction you're heading. If you're not sure, relax, take an extra loop, and explore your options. Entering a new town, this is Dinkelsbühl, it's safe to assume the church spire marks the center and the tourist offices nearby. Old town centers are increasingly difficult to drive in. One-way streets are closed to cars entirely. Drive as close as you can and find a place to park. Confirm you're parked legally. Your time's valuable. Just pay to park. Know the key road symbols. They're the same throughout Europe. No parking anytime. No traffic allowed. Wrong way, don't enter.
Again, the signage is totally different.
This means no cars or bikes from 8 till midnight. No passing, and you know this one. Make educated guesses. With this one, be ready for anything. I navigate by town names because road numbers on maps often don't match the signs. Distances and speeds are in kilometers. On this road, 80 kilometers an hour.
A kilometer is 6/10 of a mile. To change to miles, cut the kilometers in half, add back 10% of the original. So 80 kilometers per hour would be 40 plus 8, 48 miles per hour.
Beware, photo speed traps can be really expensive, and those with rental cars are billed by mail.
That would be a nasty surprise.
Save time and avoid wasted car rental days by picking up and dropping off your car in different cities, like Rothenburg and Munich. When using a bigger company with many branches, you can generally do this anywhere in the same country for no extra charge. While dropping a car in a different country usually comes with a high fee, it can also be a great convenience.
To save time.
Without our wheels, we're back to riding the rails. We're at the Munich train station, and it's about time to say Auf Wiedersehen to Germany. Our next stop is Venice.
With Europe's many discount airlines, it's often cheaper to fly than to take the train. Before taking any long surface trip, I look into flying. Still, I enjoy the romance and the adventure of a night train.
Flying does have one advantage, is that it takes less time, but the downside is the airports, usually for the cheaper airlines, are further away from the core of the city, so it takes longer to get out there. So it's a longer process altogether than a train. Sometimes it depends upon where you're trying to go. So if you're going halfway across the continent, it might be worthwhile. But if you're only going a few hours away, it still might be worth it to take the train.
Sleeping cars require reservations. The conductor checks your ticket as you board. By taking the night train, you do miss a little scenery, but you more than make up for that by gaining an entire extra day for sightseeing. I'd take an extra day exploring Venice over any train ride. Cheap couchettes are co-ed and come with bunk beds. For less than the cost of a simple hotel bed, you get your own bunk with clean linen, a locking door, and an attendant who monitors who comes and goes as you sleep.
Is everything okay?
Alles sehr gut.
Good night, good Nacht. Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. In the morning, we'll be cruising the Grand Canal in Venice. Thanks for traveling with us, and join us next time for part 2 of our 3-part travel skills special. Until then, I'm Rick Steves. Keep on traveling, and gute Nacht.
So there's my reaction to the first part of Rick Steves' Travel Skills Special. If you want to see me do another reaction to the second part of the Rick Steves Travel Skills Special, put that in the comments down below. And as always, since we are working our way up to 100 subscribers, hit that subscribe button and join our journey here. To see what else I've done recently, go ahead and click on the video right there or right there. Again, I'm not sure exactly where it is going to be because I am blind.